Parturition, labor period end segment. What do you mean about labor period end segment? Baby is delivered. When the baby is getting delivered, what happens? Uterus is going for contraction. Who is responsible for this? Oxytocin. Alone or some other factors also? Many other factors also. Who else? We'll discuss in detail in this chapter. In lactation period, what happens? Milk production happens. Okay, who is giving the milk? Mammary gland of the breast is giving the milk. Okay, instead of saying like this, which specific cell or the mammary gland or the breast is giving the milk, if you are saying properly, then you will get full marks. That we are going to discuss in this chapter, right? One by one, we'll discuss in detail. If any one of you are having doubt, please let me know. Now we are entering into the next important segment in the parturition and lactation. How the parturition is happening. So here giving birth to the child after the 9th month is okay. Instead of saying like this, I can say at the end of the 3rd trimester. Instead of saying 9 months, I can say end of the 3rd trimester. Okay. Neuroendocrine process. What do you mean about neuroendocrine process? If you're talking about endocrine means hormone and neuron means neurotransmitters. So if you're talking about neurotransmitter is very, very important. Neurotransmitter is also called as neurostimulus molecule, neurostimulant or neurostimulation mediating molecule or neurotransmitter. What is this endocrine process? Denotes hormones. So hormones and neurotransmitters are mainly responsible for the parturition and lactation. Okay, this neurotransmitters and hormones are given by whom? Central nervous system. Who is central nervous system? Brain and spinal cord. Brain and spinal cord are the major control sectors. So central nervous system in one context you are saying, the other name of central nervous system in other context you are saying brain and spinal cord. What they are doing by giving neurotransmitters, what the neurotransmitters does. Okay, it governs, it controls. This is the way the pregnancy should supposed to happen. This is the way the lactation should supposed to happen. Okay, this is the way the parturition is also called as labor period. I already told you, right? Should supposed to happen is controlled by neurotransmitters and hormones. Okay, now what is the hidden meaning of the oxytocin? Who is giving oxytocin? Pituitary gland. What is the function of pituitary gland in male? In male also it does smooth muscle contraction. In female, what it does? Smooth muscle contraction. Plus it also does the smooth muscle contraction of uterus in the female. Oxytocin is coming from where? From pituitary. Pituitary makes oxytocin? No. Who is making oxytocin? Hypothalamus. Where is hypothalamus? In the brain. In which part of the brain? Exactly. You take one iron nail. Okay. And here just hammer in this area for me. And here, wherever it is reaching, their hypothalamus is there. So hypothalamus is a structure which is making the oxytocin. So in the CBSE board exam, instead of asking the detailed essay, they will ask who is making the oxytocin and where it is getting stored and where it is final target place. Like this they will ask. We will say the target place is nothing but uterus. Okay. Where it is getting stagnated for a while in the pituitary. Who is making this? Hypothalamus. Okay. So what is this oxytocin? It is a steroid? No. Then what is exactly? Peptide hormone. Peptide hormone. So this peptide hormone, the word you are saying for oxytocin. Okay. Now this oxytocin is a peptide hormone. Okay. So they will ask, okay, how? Okay, explain oxytocin. Peptide oxytocin hormone after reaching the pituitary. After reaching the pituitary, migrates to the uterus through bloodstream, not through duct. Okay, so when you're giving the answer in this way, then you get the good marks, right? So now you need to understand this oxytocin secretion is taken care by hypothalamus, but stored in a pituitary gland for a while, right? Now The birth canal is also called as cervical canal. Through that the baby comes. For some women, cervical canal is having a small diameter. In that case, we can increase the birth canal diameter by doing a circumcision process. There is a part of infertility treatment, right? So birth canal is also called a cervical canal. For some female, it is having the short diameter. For some female, it is having the good diameter. So in that occasion, there is no issue at all. Whereas if it is short diameter, I need to do the tissue grafting. Then the birth canal or cervical canal diameter is increased, right? Umbilical cord gets cut off after the delivery, right? So basically, the umbilical cord we will scissor it after the delivery. Being here, which doctor is dealing with all these things? Being a gynecology doctor, I'll be dissecting the umbilical cord, and that umbilical cord, once upon a time, before 20 years, 30 years back and all, they used to throw it in the dustbin. But nowadays, the umbilical cord is preserved for stem cell research in all the hospitals, and that record is maintained by our government portal. Now the placenta and the remaining umbilical cord are removed from the mother body after the birth. Of course, what we told to you, that is explaining the stem cell research with the umbilical cord tissue preservation. Okay, why I need to do the stem cell research with the umbilical cord preservation? Why? Because I need to understand what type of genetic defect the baby will rise when the baby is developing. Okay, here the umbilical cord tissue is examined in all the grounds, so that what we can understand when the baby is developing, what type of genetic disorders the baby will develop, we can understand. For that, I am preserving the umbilical cord, right? Okay, now we know very well about the next important segment in the parturition and lactation is stages of parturition. So, for example, when I'm standing in the important event, the first phase is first, okay, we are calling all the audience to stand for the national anthem, followed by the anchor will be coming and describing who will be giving the introduction speech, followed by the concerned leader of that institution will be talking. In this way, how we are structurizing it, in the same way, the stage of parturition is structured. This is the way the preparatory stage happens. In the preparatory stage, the mother body starts preparing the childbirth by softening the cervix. Cervix is softened means the loosening of pelvic ligaments. Okay, the cervix are made up of quite a good number of muscles which are increasing the intercellular space in between to give you flexible mobility for the baby to come outside of the mother body at the end of the parturition. That is the hidden meaning. Softening of cervix means what? Muscle is moving away from each other with huge intercellular space. For what? For mediating the appropriate delivery. Okay. In the first stage, what happens? The regular contraction of uterine muscle happens. Uterine muscle happens. Okay. Regular contraction of uterine muscle means what you are saying. What do you mean about uterine muscle? Myometrium, endometrium, mesometrium muscles are going for contraction. Okay. So uterine muscle, we are saying simply what muscle? Smooth muscle. Where it is present? In the mesometrium or myometrium, in the mesometrium or endometrium or ectometrium. So we'll be saying in the case of mesometrium, right? Second stage, mesometrium means what? Middle layer of the uterus, inner layer. Okay, uterus inner layer is having furthermore 3 more subdivided layer. So that innermost subdivided layer, endometrium, ectometrium, mesometrium, like this we are saying. The mesometrium is having quite a good amount of muscle. Okay, that supports the effective parturition to happen, right? So the baby moves through the birth canal, also called as cervical canal. Okay, the mother actively pushes to assist the baby descends. Means the mother muscle is pushing the baby to come outside of the mother body, right? Expulsion of the placenta after the birth from the uterus, it occurs shortly after the baby birth, right? So these are the stages. This is the way the parturition is getting completed. That is aided by oxytocin, of course. In addition to this, muscle contraction relaxation. In addition to this, we all need to understand, of course, the parasympathetic nervous system. So parasympathetic nervous system and sympathetic nervous system is playing a crucial role. Sympathetic nervous system for excitation, parasympathetic nervous system for de-excitation. When I was like you, I used to make the box like this and I used to keep these boxes nearby to the content for bringing the essence of this concept. Okay, so here already oxytocin we explained. Okay, then which nervous system is playing a crucial role? Sympathetic nervous system and parasympathetic nervous system. So the muscles and tissues are getting excited because of the sympathetic nervous system. Once the parturition is getting completed, parasympathetic nervous system is bringing the contraction of the uterus slowly to the normal to have a proper rhythmic body activity, right? One by one, we'll discuss furthermore in detail. For that to know, we'll be entering into the picture one more time so that what you'll understand exactly. So you can see this zoomed picture. The cervix is not efficated or dilated. Cervix is 50% efficated, 100% and fully dilated. Okay, so the amount of pressure making the baby to move is because of the oxytocin action over the endometrium. Oxytocin action over the endometrium. This is the message we need to understand, right? So before going to the next important segment of the parturition, we'll be entering into the examples. We know very well the hormones are playing a crucial role in lactation, right? So we know very well this prolactin hormone is formed by the male also, but in male it is not doing any work. Only in the female it is bringing the mammary gland secretion, which is nothing but milk. Mammary gland is present in the breast. Okay, in the breast, where exactly? In the lobules. What do you mean about lobules? Subpartition of the lobe. So subpartition of the lobe. For example, in the flat, we are having the rooms. There is nothing but lobules. Lobules are having the mammary gland, which is making the prolactin. No, prolactin of the pituitary makes a mammary gland to release the milk. This mammary gland is located in the lobules. Mammary gland is located in the lobules, and then lobules are the part of lobes. Okay. Now, the oxytocin is bringing the not only the uterus contraction and even breast contraction to bring the effective lactation. Right? So now we know very well the milk producing cell is called alveoli. The alveoli in the lungs is having different meaning. Alveoli in mammary gland is having different meaning. Alveoli for gases exchange, by mistake, many students are writing the board exam. No, alveoli in the grade 2 CBSE exclusively we are saying only for the milk production. Okay, in the breast. Okay, whereas the same alveoli layer is there in the placenta of the uterus. Okay, placenta of the uterus. So always you keep in your mind P of U is also having alveoli. When I was like you, I used to put the box and I used to keep like this. What is this P of U? Placenta of the uterus is an alveolar layer for what? For gases exchange. In the lungs, gases exchange. Whereas in the breast, for milk production. So alveoli means all the three words should come to your mind, or else we'll do mistake by giving the wrong answer. Right? Now we know very well the increased milk production is because of the prolactin. Okay. This cholesterol is very, very important for what for? Cholesterol is very, very important for what for? To bring the effective antibody circulation. Antibody circulation. Okay. See, when we narrated, how we are narrating, all the answers should have a lot of subheadings. All the subheadings should have the points in the bullet form instead of paragraphs. Okay, then the concerned paper evaluator will feel comfortable by because it is looking pleasant for the concerned evaluator, looking neat and clean, right? So we should present the way how the paper evaluator exactly looking for, right? Now we are coming for the next segment is we told to you the oxytocin beside uterus contraction, it also does breast contraction for bringing the effective lactation, right? So we know very well the hormones which is mainly responsible for the milk production other than oxytocin. See, oxytocin is not participating in the milk production, only injecting the milk. Prolactin supports milk production. Then who else are involved in making the milk production? Okay, in terms of hormonal level, estrogen. Okay, estrogen supports what? Cell differentiation in the breast. Okay, now if you're talking about the posterior pituitary means the lower half of the pituitary is called posterior pituitary. This posterior pituitary exactly stores oxytocin but not manufactures oxytocin. It is formed by the hypothalamus, right? Now, we know very well the importance of the colostrum. The main important role of the colostrum is to make plenty of antibody. Plenty of antibody. So, what do you mean about plenty of antibody? So, you know very well, this is making the very good immune system. Immune system for what for? For making the repulsion against the microorganism. So the passive immunity is exclusively given by the antibody immunoglobulin. Immunoglobulin A is an antibody. What it does exactly? Fights against the microorganism. Where? In the fetus body. Who given this to fetus? By mother. When? During the breastfeeding. Okay. Here in the case of breastfeeding, first whenever they are feeding, they will be releasing the yellow color liquid, colostrum. There is nothing but antibody immunoglobulin A, right? So now the nutrition density. Okay, here the milk is having a lot of essential nutrients to support the fetus body. So essential nutrients means not only vitamins, not only minerals, not only ions. So fat, proteins, okay, carbohydrate, everything are required in appropriate quantity for the fetus to survive and also to develop very nicely with the well differentiated organ. For that to have, okay, here the milk should have high quality. For that, the mother should have a proper nutrient intake, right? So now we are coming for laxative effect. What do you mean about laxative effect? So here, if you're talking about the first stool, which aids in clearing the waste from the digestive system. So defecation. So laxative effect, defecation, excretion. Okay, these are all the things are promoted very nicely with the laxative effect, which is contributed by the colostrum. We know very well the lactation is nothing but the milk production. In this milk production and milk ejection is taken care by what are the hormones we discussed already, but estrogen is also playing a role. Estrogen also playing the role I already told to you. Okay, and that estrogen is making the breast tissue development before the breastfeeding, right? So we know very well the antibody of the colostrum is making the particular baby to be more productive against the microorganism, right? So these are the worked examples. This is the way your answer script should supposed to be when we are narrating the answers in the board exam. Now, if you're talking about the questions we already discussed, okay, and the tips for the exam, we already told for you where to concentrate, and video is already there in the system. Okay. Now, we'll be going for the next important concept called lactation in detail, right? So we all need to understand lactation is a process where the milk is given by the breast because of the very good contraction of the alveoli cell that we discussed in the last session, right? So there is accompanied by womb. So who is accompanying? So I'm alveoli cell. Okay, just randomly, I won't release the milk. If I need to release the milk, being alveoli cell, somebody should control me. Who is controlling me? Myoepithelial cells. Where it is present in the breast, along with whom? Along with the alveoli. What alveoli does? Milk production. Where? In the breast. Alveolar cell is controlled by whom? Myoepithelial cells. Myoepithelial cell. This myoepithelial cell is controlling the milk production and ejection at physical level, not at the hormonal level. Hormonal level, who is taking care? I already told you. Production by prolactin, release by oxytocin, right? So colostrum is such an antibody which is very, very important for fighting against the microorganism. For fighting against the microorganism. So this is a message we need to understand in the lactation. And now, if you're calmly listening to the structure, this diagram we should supposed to draw in the board exam. Be very careful by having a number of practice if they're asking milk production. Now, in this particular structure, you can see the nipple and the areolar tissues. This areolar tissue where I kept the dot, this areolar tissue where I kept the dot, you need to understand what it is exactly rich in. Fat. This areolar tissue is responsible for making the milk, I already told you. This lactiferous sinus is a canal which brings the milk to the nipple. Lactiferous sinus is getting the milk from lactiferous duct. Lactiferous duct is getting the milk from the lobules of the mammary gland. Lobules of the mammary gland. See, alveoli cell is different from areolar cell. Areolar cell is not making the milk. Areolar cell is making the fat. Is making the fat. Who is making the fat? Areolar cells are making the fat. So be very careful. Areolar cell is no way connected with the milk production. Okay, who is connected with the milk production? Mammary gland is having a alveoli cell, whereas areolar cell is a fatty tissue, right? So now we need to understand basically the myoepithelial cell. Can you see this picture here? I'm keeping the dot here so that what you'll have the better clarity. So this myoepithelial cell contracts the alveolar cell for making the milk production, right? So epithelial milk secreting cell is called alveoli cell. Okay, myoepithelial cell pushes the epithelial cell to release the milk. Okay, this is the way you need to understand. So now I think so you understood this diagram. This is there in the upper part of the abdomen. In the sense, the pectoral girdle is a cluster of muscle which is holding the group of mammary glands, right? This intercostal muscle, of course, it is very, very important for holding the entire breast tissue, right? So this blood capillary, can you see this place here? Is very important for the circulation of the blood. Why? Because the blood circulates a lot of nutrients to give the raw material for making the milk. The raw material for the milk is given by the blood. Further blood capillaries are there. Or what? Or what? Or the alveoli. Okay, this alveoli is supported by whom? Myoepithelial cells. Myoepithelial cells. Myo means muscle. Myo means in the Greek muscle. Myo means muscle, right? Myo means muscle. Okay, this muscle is very, very important for making the milk production to happen. Okay, here I think so you understood this message. Now we are entering into the next important segment in the lactation. Is nothing but the milk delivery is given by the mother If the concerned fetus, developed fetus, or the child is keeping the mouth at the nipple area, that is called, we used to call it as a nipple reflex. This nipple reflex. See how come the mother knows, okay, this is the time the milk should be ejected out. Okay, the nipple is completely innervated or completely circulated with a cluster of neurons, and that neurons is giving a sensation for the myoepithelial cells to contract the alveoli cell. Alveolar cell delivers the milk to the lactiferous duct. So, in the CBSE board exam, they will ask what reflex. What reflex? Okay, the fetus sucking reflex at the nipple makes the myoepithelial cells to force the alveolar cell to give the milk. Okay, and second type of board question, what they will ask us in the breast segment, the colostrum is rich in antibody A, also called as immunoglobulin A, that is coming as a colostrum. What color? It is in which color? Means it is yellowish, light yellowish color, and that yellowish colostrum is rich in antibody. Okay, here the milk is rich in which ion? Calcium ion. We all know very well. But the calcium ion, in which way it supports the particular growing fetus to not only to make the bones, not only acting as a neurostimulant, it also acts as what? For cell division stimulator. Cell division stimulator. Calcium ion is taken care by the milk feeding. So here, this is the way we need to understand the message. Now, we'll go for a few important tough questions practice. Uh, in the case of example, that we discussed colostrum already, right? Hormones we already discussed. And then we discussed the questions. So calmly you listen to this. What is the primary function of the oxytocin during labor condition? Of course, it does what exactly? The softening the cervix. Softening the cervix. Then the baby will be delivered more properly, right? Now, if you're entering into the baby typically moves through the birth canal and it bonds in the third stage. The third stage. Okay, third stage means in the sense what at the end of the third trimester. At the end of the third trimester. This is the correct answer. And now we are coming for what is the primary role of prolactin in lactation. Here stimulates milk ejection, initiates uterine contraction, promoting milk production. So prolactin promotes milk production. Okay, promotes milk production. So here instead of prolactin, sometimes they will ask even placental lactogen. Human placental lactogen. So this lactogen is also very, very important for making the milk production to happen, which is exactly coming from placenta. So this prolactin is coming from pituitary gland. So always I used to keep P with the prolactin, pituitary gland, and who is helping the lactation in addition to estrogen. Oxytocin means lactogen, which is coming from where? From placenta. For what for? For giving the effective milk production. So even placental lactogen also supports the milk production, right? So now if you're entering into the most important question in lactation, which hormone is released in response to the nipple stimulation and aids in milk ejection? Oxytocin is the correct answer, right? Oxytocin is the correct answer. So can we, progesterone is called as pregnancy hormone. Progesterone is called as pregnancy hormone. The other term of progesterone, pregnancy hormone. Oxytocin promotes contraction. Estrogen makes the breast tissue to get developed. Prolactin makes the milk ejection to happen, right? So we should be competent enough to understand, okay, for prolactin, what else they will ask? Okay, which hormone of the anterior pituitary? What do you mean about anterior pituitary? The first segment of the pituitary. What it does exactly? Prolactin production. Prolactin production. So prolactin production is taken care by the anterior pituitary. Estrogen production is taken care by the ovary follicles. Ovary follicles. So instead of asking this question, they'll say, who is making the estrogen? Follicles of what ovary? Who is making the prolactin? Who is making the prolactin? Exactly the pituitary gland. It is present only in the male or female. It is present in both the sex. Okay. Oxytocin, what it does in the male? Smooth muscle contraction. What is the other name of progesterone? Okay, pregnancy hormone. So here oxytocin is stored where? In pituitary gland. Oxytocin is stored where? In pituitary gland.